So, if you've been following Elon Musk lately, you know the headlines have been, well, a little all over the place, right? A factory on the moon? A big AI shakeup? A brand new payment system? It all feels pretty disconnected. But what if I told you it's not random at all? What if it's all part of one single, absolutely massive plan? Today we're going to connect those dots. Okay, let's get into it.
Okay, first up, you've probably heard the chatter about a huge SpaceX IPO. But there's this little detail in there: special voting shares. Now, that sounds kind of technical and boring, but trust me, it's a critical piece of this entire puzzle. We're going to circle back to why that's so important. Then, bam, his AI company, xAI, suddenly reshuffles itself into 4 new teams right after some big names left. So, is this just some internal drama, or is there something way more strategic going on here? And then there's this, which feels like it came from a sci-fi movie. The big vision seems to have shifted a bit from a city on Mars to, get this, building a factory and a mass driver catapult on the moon. Yeah, you heard that right. And just to really complete the picture, word gets out that X Money, the payment system that's going to be built right into X, is already deep in testing and might just launch in a couple of months. So you look at all this stuff on its own, and yeah, they're interesting stories. But you gotta be asking, how in the world does a moon base connect to a payment app? And what does any of that have to do with how an AI company organizes its teams? Well, here's the key to the whole thing. None of this is random. Not one bit. This is the actual blueprint for building a single, gigantic, interconnected empire, where every single piece is designed to help all the other pieces grow. And the foundation for that entire empire, the one single thread that ties everything together, is control. I'm talking about voting control, the power to make these huge, long-term bets without needing to ask anyone for permission.
And look, you don't have to take my word for it. Musk made this perfectly clear earlier this year. He basically said, if I don't have 25% voting control of Tesla, I'm not comfortable building it into the AI and robotics powerhouse I know it can be. I'd rather just build that stuff somewhere else. I mean, that was a huge signal. For him, control is everything.
So how do you do it? How do you take a company public, raise billions of dollars from investors, but still keep the keys to the kingdom? Well, a really popular tool is something called a dual-class share structure. It's what's being talked about for SpaceX, and it's a classic move in the tech world. It lets founders protect that big, crazy, long-term vision from the pressure of Wall Street wanting good news every 3 months. The concept's actually pretty simple, but the effect is massive. Most people, when they buy a stock, they get 1 share, and that gives them 1 vote. Simple enough. But founders can create a special class of shares for themselves that carry, say, 10 or even 20 votes per share. This means they can sell off most of the company to raise money for growth, but still hold on to the majority of the voting power. They still get to steer the ship. And when you look for this pattern, you see it everywhere with him. At Tesla, he's fighting for that 25% goal. At SpaceX, he's setting the stage for an IPO with these special shares. And at his private AI company, xAI, he's got a massive 79% stake. You see? In every key company that's a pillar of this empire, he's the one making the final call.
Okay, so with control completely locked down, what's the next logical move? You start combining your forces. And that brings us to the great merger, the plan to roll his private companies into one single, absolute monster of a company.
And we are not talking about a small deal here. SpaceX has officially acquired xAI, creating this new private giant, valued at a mind-blowing $1.25 trillion. To give you some context, that's more than the entire economy of Switzerland. This is basically setting the stage for what could be the biggest IPO in human history. And just look at what's inside this new titan. You've got the raw power of SpaceX's rockets, Starlink's global internet connection, xAI's super advanced AI models, the fire hose of real-time data from X's 600 million users, and the pure computing horsepower of the Colossus supercomputer. It's all under one roof, all pointed in the same direction. But here's the thing. This isn't just a fancy financial trick to make it IPO look clean. No, this is about creating deep, powerful connections between the technologies. And that reorganization at xAI we talked about earlier, it's the perfect roadmap to see exactly how these pieces are meant to fit together. So this isn't just some boring org chart. You should think of it as a direct pipeline of new tech flowing from his private companies straight into Tesla. The Grok team, they're working on AI you can talk to, so you could have a real conversation with your car or with an Optimus robot. The coding team is building AI that literally writes its own software, which could just massively speed up everything from your car's touchscreen to the software that runs the factories. The Imagine team, this one is wild. It generates fake video that looks real. Think about it. You can create a million perfect videos of a car driving through a blizzard without ever needing a real car or real snow. It's basically an infinite source of training data for full self-driving. And Macrohart is building AI that can use a computer like a person, which could automate whole chunks of the business.
So we've got the control locked in, and we've got the new merge tech engine ready to go. The last two pieces of the puzzle are all about expansion. One is the really long-term, out-there vision, and the other is a much more immediate plan to make money. It's the moonshot and the money.
Okay, the big new vision is called Moonbase Alpha. The plan is to build a permanent base and then a factory on the moon. Now you're asking, why? Because the moon has super low gravity, which makes launching stuff into space more than 20 times cheaper than doing it from Earth. So if you can build your AI satellites on the moon and then just catapult them into orbit, you totally change the game for building huge things in space, like the first ever space-based data centers. It's an absolutely epic vision, and let's be honest, it's one heck of a story to tell investors before a giant IPO.
But while the long-term plan is literally aiming for the stars, the moves on Earth are just as big. And that's where X money comes in. This is the next huge step to turn X into that everything app. They've already got the licenses in more than 40 states, so this is a real payment system ready to launch soon, designed so you can manage your whole financial life right there in the app. But here's the most important part. It's not just about turning X into a bank. It creates a brand new, incredibly valuable stream of real-world financial data, which then gets fed right back to xAI to make its AI models even smarter. It completes the circle.
So, what happens when you put all of these pieces together? You've got absolute voting control. You've got a merge tech giant where every part helps every other part. You've got a moonshot vision to get everyone excited. And you've got a new financial engine making money and creating data. When you lay it all out, you get a remarkably clear picture of the future he's trying to build.
And this isn't some science fiction dream happening decades from now. Here are the real concrete things to watch for very soon. X Money could launch publicly in just a few months. Production of the Cybercab, that purpose-built robotaxi, is supposed to start in the middle of the year. And that monster SpaceX IPO could happen right around the same time, with people whispering about a $1.5 trillion valuation.
Ultimately, this is the main idea for anyone looking at these companies. The pitch is that an investment in Tesla isn't just an investment in a car company anymore. You're really buying a piece of an entire network of companies that are all designed to feed each other technology, talent, data, and money, all pushing in the same monumental direction.
Now, it's a strategy that has incredible potential. You know, a breakthrough in AI over at xAI could completely change robotics at Tesla overnight. A big cost saving at SpaceX could create a whole new business for Starlink. But it also means that everything is tied together and centered on one person. And that leaves us with the big trillion-dollar question. Is this interconnected empire the blueprint for the future of technology, or is it creating one of the biggest single points of failure in history? I guess we're all about to find out.